one of the things that we talked about a lot is this understanding that, what our experience is our experience, and it is shaped by our attention and what we place our focus on. And in the times when it's challenging for us, there's one little phrase that I share a lot, and it is, this too is welcome.
Mm.
This too is welcome. Even in the depths of despair, even in the frustration, we know that emotion is like the sea. It's stormy one day, it's calm the next. It's never permanent. There is this release that happens after a period of time. And so when we can meet the things that are happening in our world and welcome it and meet it and talk to it and understand it, and maybe it's not even talk to it and understand it at this stage, maybe it's just an acknowledgement. But sitting with, this too is welcome. This too is welcome. And in that moment you create a little bit of space to then take the next step.
And sometimes that's all that's required, isn't it? It's just a breath, a pause. Welcome to What No One Told Us. This is a conversation between two men in the middle of life. We don't come with answers or a plan to get anywhere. We come as we are, with what's alive, what's unclear, and what's honest.
Sometimes we speak from certainty, sometimes from doubt, and sometimes we're just trying to understand what we are feeling in real time. If you're listening while navigating your own questions, you are very welcome here.
Good morning. Hey, Diego, and welcome, Jacinda.
Thank you.
Our first female guest on the show.
Yes.
Yeah,
so good.
So good to have you here, Jacinda. So Jacinda Crothers from Papamoa here in Tauranga, a mindfulness and expansion coach. But I know you as the woman who lives down the road, and I go and see every Wednesday morning for a cold swim and a meditation on Papamoa Beach. So first of all, I just want to say thank you for creating that amazing space that myself and my friend, we've got a lot of pleasure and a lot of fulfillment out of going down there and throwing ourselves in very cold water at times, and then having the pleasure of going through a really nice mindfulness exercise on the beach. So that's the first thing I want to say. So thank you so much for creating that space for all of us. But like I said, welcome to the show. Really interested to have your thoughts today. And I can see already from our earlier conversations before going live that it's going to be a rich conversation. But first of all, just wanted to give you a chance to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Amazing. Well, firstly, I'm celebrating the first female guest. Thank you. What an honour. And so wonderful to be here. It's been such a joy getting to know you personally, Lloyd, and I can't wait to hear more through our conversation, Diego, about you and learn a little bit more about you. I am, as you said, labels are such a funny thing, aren't they? Because I call myself a mindfulness coach, a mindfulness mentor and expansion coach. I think that really expansion coach is more of where I'm leaning into. It's this ability for us to be able to truly see ourselves first of all, and then support others in doing that. And my pathway has been a varied one, starting off in my humble beginnings in the hospital. I actually come from a medical background, so radiation therapy. I worked in clinic with cancer patients for the first part of my career, and then moved into corporate, where I was selling, marketing, teaching all over the world with oncology products, software and hardware. And it took me to some incredible places, and I met some incredible people. And I believe that nothing is by chance. I believe that we do all of these different things that stand us in good stead for the next iteration for how we get to show up in the world. So that corporate career ended quite abruptly because I found myself in a position where I was bullied, and we were going through a big transition personally with my husband trying to have a baby, and found out that I was suffering from unexplained infertility, which was it was a really big thing to deal with at the time. And so we had to make some tough decisions, and work was really hard, and I was experiencing all these things that I hadn't experienced before. And I have a beautiful relationship with my husband Dan, and he's my best friend, has been for over 20 years, and I'm lucky to have the support that I have with him. And we sat down and just decided that this wasn't the way. And we needed to make some decisions based around, firstly, how I wanted to feel, and then secondly, how the family wanted to operate, or the future family that we were wanting to create was going to be. And so that made me take a step away from corporate and start pursuing things that actually filled my heart up, and that allowed me to understand what my body was doing. And really, actually, in my mid-30s, started working with a coach, and had my coach ask me in one of our first sessions, what do you want in your life? And I just burst into tears because I didn't know. I was like, how can I get through this amount of my life, well-educated and so-called successful, and not know this? And so that just started this snowball into understanding and searching for meaning, and creating time for myself to really understand me. And from that, discovering my creative side, I actually started a creative business, and then that naturally progressed into coaching and to helping people understand who they are, and move through the world in a way that they really want to be moving. And I guess the underlying piece here is the preciousness of life, and understanding the gift it is to be given these things, these hurdles to walk through, because it makes us notice more. It makes us bring our attention back into, what am I here? What am I doing? Where am I in this moment? And I want to be able to live it fully, and I want to be able to feel deeply connected to my life and others, and have that shared. And so it's been a long, and it will continue to be, a long journey. But the one thing also that really brings me back to grounding, and that I really feel truly at home in, is, it's my son. Hey, buddy. Yes. No, it's not your swimming day today.
We are seeing the firsthand the reality of mum life right there. I know what that's like. As a parent, and Diego, you're a parent too. Life doesn't stop, right, for the little one.
No, it's really fun.
No, it doesn't. But also, like celebrating, he's 7 now, and that the hardships that we go through in order to create something. And then it just keeps unfolding and keeps unfolding. And we were lucky to become parents. I know that there's a lot of people that aren't. And I notice that every single day. And there's times that I'm like, I don't want to, this is really hard. I wish I could have some space, but actually, it's beautiful. And we're very lucky. So the little guy's off to school, just started school again, term 1. So it's it's a good space.
Thank you, Jacinda, for sharing all that. It sounds like you've been on an incredible journey, and a journey that's continuing. What I noticed when you were sharing that, there was just a smile over your face, even when you were talking about some of those harder things, which kind of signaled to me that even though it's been difficult, you described it as kind of a snowball at some stage. We might circle back to that, but you're still smiling, and it's incredible. It's very, very inspiring. If I just want to come back to something that you said earlier when you and your husband Dan sat down, and I think you might have even put your hand on your heart. You were kind of like, how do I want to feel? So you're in this situation where things weren't quite aligning with you, and you'd been through the corporate grind, and you'd done all that, and you were successful on the outside. That's kind of, stop me if I'm wrong, but this is kind of the picture I was picking up. But in that moment, you sat down and you were kind of like, how do I want to feel? And that really stood out for me, because I think often we're quite drawn to what do I want to do, or how do I want my life to look? But for you in that moment, it was about how do I want to feel? So what was the difference there?
I think this is a huge point. And because we're so stuck in the doing, and in that numbifying the messages that we get from our bodies intrinsically, our intuition, if you like, whatever you want to call it, the internal nudges, and so really stripping back to the feeling. And often it's really uncomfortable, especially in times when we are under pressure, in times when we are feeling deep discomfort. The natural response or reaction for us is to want to run away from that, to want to hide, to want to go harder at the gym, drink more wine at the weekend, just run away, not be in that discomfort of heartbreak or hurt or sadness. But it's in those moments where we are vulnerable, where truth bubbles up, where we really get to see the essence of what does my next decision get to be. And for me, feeling was a relatively new thing at that time, because as you said so rightly, we're so used to doing, and it was doing, and it was doing, it was doing, and it was showing the big house and the clothes and the world travel and all of the things. But the felt sense of that was just like skeletal, like
flat, hollow,
emaciated.
Yeah, right.
But actually coming to the realization that, and I can see it, like I can see us on the couch. I know exactly where we were. And it's so funny. Like I can rerun that. I don't know exactly what we said, but I can be in that moment. I know exactly where we were. And feeling matters so much. And if we think about the times in life where we experience things that really make us feel something, they're big. But then we get to learn as well. I believe that we get to learn that we can see and we can feel in the teeniest of moments as well. And I think that has been a lesson for me over the last years of starting my own business and of coming to this, and we're always evolving. Like we just have to keep trying, and if things don't work, reroute. And it's having that confidence and compassion for ourselves to be able to keep making those decisions, keep messing it up potentially, and learning from that, and keep going. But that really is, I feel like the path of the heart is that opening, and there is a natural close sometimes as well. There are times when we're not necessarily operating from that place of open-heartedness and that place of readiness. And so it's a bit of a dance between I really want to do this next thing, but I'm feeling a little bit apprehensive about it, and then it's like opening up conversations like these with beautiful souls that understand that intrinsically, and then give you the nuggets or share conversations, share stories. Then you realize that you're not alone. And I think 100%. That's one of the biggest things, that when we start to share and when we have these open conversations, we realize that we're all dealing with stuff. There's never a perfect situation. We never actually know what's going on behind the scenes. But what we can hold each other in is this understanding that we have this shared humanity, and can it be an opportunity to just learn from each other.
Yeah, beautifully said. Beautifully said. What's coming up for you, Diego? I can see your mind is just ticking away there.
Oh no, it's just I totally had the same questions, Lloyd, and I have another ones for Jacinda. I sort of half felt your story because there's always the moment. There's always a moment that brings you to that question: what am I doing? What am I? And what is this? and and I love listening about what was the moment for you, what was the moment for different people. All right, there's always a moment. And the key here is that where are we on that moment? What is happening? What is there suffering? Where is the suffering? Where it hurts? And it is a point where it becomes unbearable. And sometimes, as you said, we have the opportunity to look for it. What is happening to us? So we can reach out, we can ask for help. You said you shared that you had a coach or someone helping you to untap that. There's other options, all right? The other options is to hide that feeling and try to keep numbing it. But there is a point.
For a good few years as well.
There's a point. But even when we are hiding it, there's a point where we just can't hide it anymore. Because your body tells you, the people around you tell you, what's happening? And so then it becomes a responsibility, all right? And what are we gonna do with this? And what I love, because it comes with your face, Jacinda, when you were describing the moment, and you name your job as an expansion term, it's just an automatic expansion. When we found something, because it's not that we found a sense of life or anything, we just found something. And then we start exploring. No, we open a new way that we didn't know, and then the world is new. It's everything to be created again, even in the same environment, with the same person, with the same flashy clothes that we had before, and then we start changing them slightly because they're not functional anymore, or we change a little bit the decoration, and suddenly, we change a little bit our habits, and then we start building a new pathway for ourselves. And suddenly there's the discovery of I'm opening my heart. I'm at risk again, but I'm solid. And so I find it when I hear you, is the moment where we started to find home, like home within, and we start building it, and then we know that we are not alone anymore. We have a place to go regardless where we are. That is in here. Sorry,
you're pointing to your heart for the people that can't see.
And then from there, everything is possible. Everything is possible. Absolutely everything is possible. I mean, from, obviously, I always said that, from the grateful place that we are, right? That we have our basic needs. but sometimes, even the basic needs and the whole luxury that we have around us is not enough, all right? Because we keep looking and we keep looking. And suddenly when we drop that, it's like, oh my God. We got absolutely everything and more. Actually, we don't need many of these things, but once you find home, you said, okay, now I can build whatever I want and stop looking. We have it. We have everything. We just need to take away all these conditions, and then start picking everything that we already have. That's more than enough.
Taking those conditions away. I mean, it's
a lot of work.
Let's just cut back to that, because I think we're really selling this here as a kind of an ideal. And I feel like the three of us have this shared commonality already. I picked up at some point in our life, we've realized that there's a hollowness or an emptiness, and something's not aligned for us, and we've chosen at that point to make a change. So we're all clear on that. What I think is important to mention is that, and Diego and I, we've had these conversations earlier, that once you decide to go on that path, it can be quite an upending sort of experience. And you used the word snowball before, Jacinda, and I promised I'd circle back to this, and I'm keen to hear what does that mean, snowballing, for you at that time? Tell us a bit more about that.
Well, I guess, and maybe snowball's not the right analogy for this, but it did feel like that, free falling a little bit. And as you keep, because you're unpeeling, and often people use the analogy of the onion, you're unpeeling everything back. But I feel like at that moment there was a lot happening, and it was just like the more that I asked, the more that I questioned, the more that I found this place of home, the more that things started appearing. I was like, oh, I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do this, and there's just this big wide world out there that got to be explored. And so it did feel like a bit of a snowball, and I was like, oh gosh, how do I stop this? How do I take this slowly? And the answer is you can't. Once you know, like you can't unsee what you've already seen. And so that I guess is the snowball, and it's still happening. It's still happening, after however many years of practice and understanding and learning about myself and teaching this to others. There's still more, and that's just the gift of life, I see. And I love the way that Liz Gilbert talks about this in her book Big Magic. And she talks about us all being repositories of buried treasure, and that one of the biggest tricks that the universe plays on us is it places jewels within us, and it's our job, if we choose, to actually go on the hunt for those jewels. And I feel like that is the snowball, right? It's the hunt for those jewels that are embedded often really deep inside of us. Beautiful. Often we don't necessarily find them for years. We may never, but it's the courage to go on the hunt in the first place and actually start opening to possibility of what is here or not here for us. And so in that sense, I guess that's the snowball, is the continual hunt is probably the wrong word, but that curiosity to find the things that really set our souls on fire, that really light us up. You mentioned at the start the beach, and that is for me one of the places that I feel so deeply connected to myself. And that was one of the reasons that when we came back, I was overseas for a long time, 15 years, and we came back, and to my heart home, what feels like my heart home, but also the physical space in which I just feel so deeply connected with, and that is the beach. And so when I'm there, there is just another level of feeling held in that space, and that's why I love to invite others to experience that as well. And it'll be different for everybody, but I think when you grow up close to coastal waters, and I've lived my whole life within walking distance from the ocean, and that's been intentional. Even in all the different countries that we've lived in, we've always been close to the sea, and there is something really deeply spiritual about the water for me. And yeah, it's just that finding that sense of the place or the thing that you can do that really supports you in that pursuit of the jewels within. Continuing the snowball. Well, you really love the water, don't you, Jacinda? Because how many swims have you done now? This morning's was 408.
Wow.
Consecutively. Okay, let's just pause that for a second. 408 swims consecutively, and this is all seasons?
In wild water, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So those are the parameters are wild water. So it has to be lake, ocean, waterfall, wherever, not a pool. And yeah, 3 dunks is a swim, especially it's freezing. But at the moment it's beautiful. So yeah, I started January the 1st, 2024. So
yeah, I mean, that's an amazing achievement, and I feel like it's just something that is going to keep going for you.
yeah, I don't know when I feel I mean, why stop something that makes you feel so good, firstly?
Yeah.
But also, I will be relinquishing the pressure on myself to have to be at the beach every single day. I've got some overseas things coming up, and I'm trying to manage, like, how do I get in the water in Australia when I'm on a plane, and the stingers and crocodiles and all that?
When you're in the middle of the desert or something.
Yeah. So it's just timing-wise, it's worked out perfectly with life. So my aim is 500, and then we'll see.
Brilliant. That's amazing. Why did you start? What propelled you to? I mean, you said you started in January, so it was warm weather, so it's feasible.
Yeah.
But then I guess you would have arrived to colder months. And what kept you? Why did you start, and what kept you going through those?
The thing that, so I think I mentioned when I moved back from overseas, I was really looking for a place to come together as community and figure out what my community was. I've been overseas for such a long time. Yes, I grew up here in the Bay of Plenty, but people move on, and 15 years is a long time. So I needed to find a space where I could be and where I could find like-minded people that wanted to explore nature and be in the seasons with me. And so I started this swim 4 years ago. So every Wednesday I offer a meditation and ocean swim, and I've been doing it consistently for 4 years. And when I first started, no one would come. I'd invite people, and I'd be there by myself, but I'd be there anyway. So it was just about this commitment that I was making to me and to my heart, and to be in nature. And so that started, and every time that I held a session, I'd be asked, do you swim every day? And no. And especially over winter, you're like, oh my gosh, once a week, like, that's enough. It's freezing. It's really cold. Not comparatively to other places in the world, but the water temp here gets down to about 12 in wintertime. Air temperature 0, so there's often steam coming off the sea because it's so much warmer than the outdoor temperature. So it's a test. It's really a test of resilience. It's a test of your ability to trust your body. And so I kept getting asked this question, and last year I was like, right, okay, I feel like this is a challenge. I feel like the next person that asks me, I get to say yes. And so I just made that decision. I'm going to swim every single day for 365 days and see what happens, see how my body adjusts through the season, see what changes, see how challenging this is for me, especially in the winter. I don't love cold water, by the way. Like, I'm not the person that goes to the beach and swims for hours and hours. That's not me at all. But this felt like something, and I know how incredible it feels to get out of the water afterwards. I know that high that comes from just doing something that's out of your comfort zone, but also doing something that's so invigorating. So yeah, I was up for it, and I knew that it was going to happen. Like, there was no doubt in my mind that I was not going to achieve that. And there were times that were really hard. There was times that I was sick. There was times that I was away from my home. There was times where we got stuck in traffic and didn't get back home till late, so in the water really late at night time. So yeah, but it's been amazing. It's been one of the best things that I've ever done for myself, just to have that space. And I meditate and I journal and we do the things that we know support us, but this feels like it supports me on another level. And not only that, but the people that I've met through the process. So frequenting the beach every single day, you meet the people that are out there every single day. and it's not always at the same time, but now I go down there and I know there's the local community, and I know that if it's stormy, I've had people come up to me and be like, oh, I just kept an eye on you today because I knew that it was really, it was really stormy, and I just wanted to make sure that you came out of the water. And so there's this really beautiful connection that's been created with effective strangers. And I also know that this is the underlying thread of the fabric of our world. And regardless of what is happening globally, we do there's so much goodness in people's hearts. And we get to see that. And I've witnessed that with my own eyes. And I'll share a beautiful story from a man that I met on the beach. And I used to see him reasonably regularly with his dog, and then I didn't know his name, but we'd say hi and have a little chat. And one time, a few months back, he came up to me and he said, I hope you don't find this creepy, but it was a really beautiful morning the other morning, and I took some photos of you out in the ocean, and the sun was coming up, and these photos that he took were just so beautiful. He's like, I really want to share them with you. And so he shared these pictures with me, and he said, you probably wouldn't know it was you if it wasn't you, but it was just the moment, and it was so incredible. And he sent me them. And so we've had a bit of back and forth. And my brother actually took his photo and got it blown up for me for Christmas. And it's just like, I should go get it and show you. But it was an incredible photo. And it's those little moments, when you capture something and it just touches your heart, and and there's been a relationship that's formed through that. So so cool.
The story is amazing, and what it comes to me is that the possibility, the creation of something where nothing was there. Because the beach is always there, the water is there, but you were not there, and suddenly you decided to be there. And when you decided to be there, you created something that wasn't there. And suddenly there's something there just out of creating it. And that's actually possible on any single aspect of your life, and any single moment, and whatever activity you do, there is a possibility of creating a space that wasn't there, and suddenly there's community, because that's what we are as humans. We want community, we want connection. And any space created for connection is just a miracle. And we put whatever color we want on that. We put an ocean or or whatever we're doing. And it's inspiring. It's always inspiring, because that's what we all need. Well, that's what we all looking for at the end: connection, are we?
Yeah.
And love in some way or another. And I have a question for you, Jacinda, but it's quite. It could be a little bit like big, but you tell me.
Okay.
When you had to navigate through big transformation, and you decided this is not. When it happens to me, one of the things that I had to look at was my marriage. I had like 24 years marriage, right? And I could see that you were with your husband at that time. And you still are with your husband, and then you created a family, and out of probably a deep moment of transformation for yourself, where you needed to look at everything in your life, I guess. What was and don't know how to articulate the question, but how was the impact of that in your relationship, and what was the work that your husband has to put at, or you know what I mean? what was what he has to do to hold you in that moment, and how did it work for both? Your transformation became his transformation as well, or was it a relationship that has to transform as well at the same time? If relationship is a third entity,
Don't know. Is it sort of make sense? Or
Yeah.
question?
Yeah, and it's a biggie, so thank you.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, it's a huge one.
No,
but you don't need to answer it as well. But for me, it is what the base of this question is that, in my point of view, the moment that you decide to start transformation, you need to look at every single aspect of your life, everyone, even the ones that are you very good at, and all the things that got you to your success, all of that has to be reviewed. And when love is there and partnership and plans, like, it's super hard and because sometimes the reality is like, ooh, it's overwhelming, and you need to make a decision in one way or another. And my decision had to be done on ending my marriage and the best way I could. But in your case, it didn't happen that way, which is also the way it happens. But it wasn't something that you can is something that you can share about that also.
Absolutely.
The role also of a man next to a woman that is looking for deep transformation and transition, how it's also probably something that a point of view that I will be very interested of getting,
absolutely.
From there.
And this is so beautiful because Dad and I have a really incredible relationship, and I'm very lucky. He's very lucky as well. We've always been. Just throw that in there. We've always been very, very open, and we always talk a lot. And that's been our strength, I think, is the way that we're able to share with each other. And it's not always in agreement, but it's an offering that we know that we get to come together and share where we're at, and then make a decision whether it be this way or that way, or whether we go together or whether we go apart. And I think he's been incredibly supportive of what I'm doing, the decisions that I've made, the decisions that we had to make together, because, well, firstly, it was around our family, wanting to create the family, and having and basically being willing to say, I'll do whatever it takes for however long it takes in order to be able to become parents. That was one of the things that was so deeply embedded in both of our families and both of our dreams, was wanting to be able to become parents. So I think that was the first thing. And so in seeing what I walked through in order to become a mother with the IVF and all the tests, and he went through all the same stuff. It was a lot. That was the first part. And then I think from that, because the growth was exponential in terms of understanding our hearts and what it gets to take in order to make that thing happen, when there's no guarantee, because there was no guarantee that we would become parents. There never is. He saw that in a different way because of what we experienced through that process. And so I think it was easier then for him to be able to have these conversations about where I wanted to go, because we'd just been through this crazy process mirrored in our personal life. So that was helpful in a way. And I look back at that retrospectively and can see that was helpful. But at the time, it was really freaking hard. And I know that breaks a lot of people along the pathway. And so that was one of the things. One of the other big things that had to change when we were going through this process of understanding and wanting to live out from this place was the big shift back to New Zealand. And that was a move that we made again, together, because of our family support that is here. We had COVID into the mix. It was a tricky time to be overseas and be away from the people that you love the most in the world. And don't get me wrong, we had a wonderful community overseas, but you can't, there's no substitute for family. And so that was a big shift for us. And I guess that was helpful, well, for both of us, because both of our families are here. So we have that extra, well, it feels like we have another layer of support network around us.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of the things that keeps Dan and I doing the things that we do is just that, like what you were sharing before, having a place to come and to be in open communication with. And I think that has saved us. And I'm not saying that it's perfect, but what I am saying is that there is this openness and ability for us to be able to converse and have that shared without the layers of story that we tend to add to it when we want it to be this way or we want it to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have an ability to just speak our truth. And I think that's one of the biggest relationship journeys that you go on ever for anyone, not just in a romantic relationship, but in friend relationships as well, that ability to be honest. And so, there have been friendships that have fallen away. There have been things that have changed because of the decisions that we've made as a family to move to the other side of the world and to restart effectively.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that answered the question, but yeah.
Yeah, no, just I was very interested on where did Dan had to go. If you maybe I need to ask him. But
I don't want to speak for him.
We'll have Dan on the show next.
Yeah,
we can have the second story.
It is. I was working in relationship not long ago about this concept that I really love, and that is the only way to receive. I mean, the only way to be with someone that you really love is actually to love yourself and actually be that person first. And if you are that person, then there's possibility that the other person will be the person that you love. But if you are not yourself, if you are not that person first, you cannot pretend that the other person will work for you.
Yeah.
So and I love that concept because it puts your responsibility on yourself first. And when you are whole and open, then there's possibility for the other person also to be that. But when you start closing, then there's no that the other person does the same thing. So there's always the possibility to be the bigger person in that way and open the way.
Yeah.
And when you operate, as you said, in the open heart realm, vulnerability comes in, which is very scary, but also things become easier
and clear.
And clear,
yeah. And I love that you said that, because a big piece of my work when I first started coaching was around self-love. Around this understanding, around this like really knowing thyself, right? And when you do that intrinsically, there is like this kind of osmosis that happens with the people around you. And I think that Dan would say himself that there's things that have changed in him and the way that he sees the world because of the lens that I see through now. And so we have this, we bounce off each other, and he can see when, you know each other so well, you can see when energy is slumped or when he's had a bad day or vice versa. And so we get to be that springboard for each other.
Amazing.
But that comes from understanding that depth and being okay with your entirety, with the fullness of your essence and who you are. And I think that's where things can sometimes be a rub if either party doesn't see that trajectory or that or understand where you need to go, the decisions that you're making. And I've seen that happen as well in my coaching work with women and people that I've worked with in the past, that gradual parting that happens when one side decides that actually these are the things that are important to them and this is what they need to do, and the other one doesn't get it and finds resentment in that opening process, which is so important to to them.
For sure. Thank you. That was beautiful.
Fascinating conversations, guys. It really is so good to listen to both of your vibing there, which is awesome. And there's so many different veins coming out of there. I mean, just to touch on a few of them, like community, it's obviously something that's really important to you, Jacinda, and I feel like you're pretty close to have found that. I mean, I go on Wednesdays and I look around and I see all the beautiful souls that are on that beach, and they're all there, like you said, Diego. You've created that out of nothing by simply showing up for yourself. Do you ever stand back or just sort of look from the outside and think, wow, the community that I've been searching for is all around me, and I've created that? I mean, does that bring you a bit of joy?
Joy, like highlighted, underlined in flashing lights. And so much. I'll share. I went to a yoga class the other night, and I walked in, and the guy that I lay my yoga mat next to me was like, "Hey, you're Arctic swimmer girl." I was like, "What?" And he said, "Oh, you swim every day, don't you?" And I said, Yeah, I do. But how incredible is that? This person that I don't even know. And then he shared that he knows my dad. So my dad was a teacher for 44 years in our region, and has taught pretty much every man for the last few generations. Is now going into grandchildren that he taught. That's when he knew that he needed to step back and retire, because he had a boy come into his class and he said, "Oh, did you know this man, sir?" And he said, "Yes, I taught him." And he's like, "That's my granddad." And Dad was like, "Oh my goodness, it's time. But it's that ripple out, and it's the ripple that you don't even expect, that you have no awareness of, just like the dog walkers on the beach, or the people that are aware of you doing the things. And so, there are big moments now of just sitting in full gratitude and full awe of what is possible and what I've created so far, and what continues to happen, because it keeps growing, it keeps expanding. There's people that come and are like, "I would never have got in the ocean on my own before, and because of this, now I'm doing it." There's a lady who's now swimming every day because she's seen me, and she's like, "I didn't like the ocean before, but this has given me the confidence to see that I can do this for myself." And I believe that what we mirror in one area of our life is reflected in other areas. And so this is not just a weekly ritual. It's an opportunity for us to understand and embody what it's like to show up in life. So it's not just a beach meditation and a swim. It's just, I get to show up for myself. And if I show up for myself here, what happens when I do this at work? What happens when I do this in my relationship? What happens when I do this with my kids? And it's it's the community that keeps on giving. And so, I walk up, I used to, before the slips, walk up the Pap Hills or walk up the Mount, and there's not a time that I go and do these things that I don't meet somebody that I know or somebody that's been and experienced that on the beach. And I guess that's the beauty of living in a small place. But even when we were camping away from the area over summer, I've met people in the camping ground that I knew, and that had somehow been connected to this ocean.
Beautiful.
Which, when we were overseas, I still used to immerse in the water when we were in England, especially, and in the water there, just feel that connection, that this water has somehow touched the waters of home. And so there is this beautiful portal that we create when we're in the water, that it is, we're connected to all of the earth. And the water has also been touched by souls that are not earthside anymore. We have this deep sense of connection through water, and that is the thing that I keep coming back to, and that is the thing that I think people might not necessarily be able to articulate, but that's part of that sense of euphoria of going into the ocean and feeling it and being in it and immersing in it and lying in it and floating in it. Just having that, it is that sense of connection and that sense of community and that sense of I belong. I'm here and I'm being held by something infinitely greater than myself.
And none of this is overly complicated. These aren't big, grandiose things. That what we're talking about here is, you showing up with an intention to go to the beach and, meditate and then swim. And then you notice that other people started to come, but it started with a small act. From the outside, it's a small act. I mean, you're not going out and getting a Nobel Peace Prize or inventing the next iPhone. So where I'm going with this is to live a life wholeheartedly and purposeful. It doesn't have to be something massive. It can be something really small, right? I'm just wondering if where you are now, and then obviously hindsight and looking back retrospectively, could you just time travel with me back to that spot where you were sitting there with Dan, and then you were kind of, things aren't working for me here. I know there's something that's not aligned in my life, and something needs to change. And you've got your husband there, he's supportive, and you've got these challenges going on. Where you are now to that person then, what's something that you would go, what do you want to say to them right now?
Oh, just that I love you so much, and that I didn't know at that time just how precious life is, and that I'm so proud of those decisions. Even in the stickiness, I talk about this dance of that we're all trying to master, the steps of life, like dancing in the possibility whilst still experiencing the stickiness of reality, and having this opportunity to decide. And it is a decision. And I've heard that before, and I've heard people talk about that. I'm like, oh God, really? Just a decision? But it is. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as the decision.
It is, Jacinda, I relate a lot. Those decisions are easy, but first of all, you need to confront the fear of doing them, because and I really like that analogy or metaphor that I felt in just a documentary that I've seen that I loved so much. It's so simple, called Finding Joe. Is that this guy goes, it's just a hero's journey. He goes to the forest and to find his path and fight his fears. And then when he confronts himself with the fears, take the mask out of the fear, and the fear looks like him. And it's true that every time we make a decision, whatever difficult, simple, whatever it is, we need to go through the fear. But once we take the mask of the fear looks like us, and it's something that we experience, and it's not there anymore. So once we discover and we hug our fears, then everything becomes so easy, and it feels natural. And that's how I feel like what you are embodying with your actions is exactly that, just go every day and take the mask out of fear and say like that there's no problem in doing that. And there's another layer there is that you went to the village to do that, and I love the concept of village. You didn't do it in private. You went out there and see who was there. And you go to the village with an offering, and suddenly you get offered things, because when you go to the village, people has things to offer. But we are not used to the village because we are behind our fences and our security cameras and our locks, and within our problems, and are like the biggest the biggest barriers. All right, our own problems are the biggest barriers to see the community, to see the village. But once you do that, once you are in the village offering something, then there's a lot of people offering to you, because people are beautiful, and we're all beautiful, and life is amazing. And then the universe is yours. But it's not that it's yours as a greedy thing. It's yours because you are that, and we all that. So it's just what we talk in one episode with Lloyd. This podcast is another stand in the village, all right? We put a stand that's called podcast, and somebody said, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" Oh, we are talking about this. We are talking about this, and then okay. Oh, what are you doing, Jacinda? Oh, I just do this. Oh, cool. Oh, that's beautiful. And suddenly the community grows, and we know that we are not on our own. And then suddenly the expansion that is your job title, which is beautiful. The expansion comes automatically. There's nothing to be done. It's automatic.
Yeah.
It's so simple, but so complicated, because
and we spend our lives trying to find this, right?
Yeah.
When all you need to do is just go to the beach, it'll be fine.
or just said to Lloyd, press record in our conversations and see what happens. Or some other beautiful people doing many other things, all right? Because we haven't discovered anything. It's been happening forever. It's just that we were not seeing it.
Blind. Yeah.
Blind. Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool.
When
so cool.
just want to share quickly, when I was at a point where I felt I needed to make some changes in my life, and was also going through some challenges at that time. I think I actually reached out and asked for help, not in like a, going on Facebook Marketplace and saying I need help, or like approaching, putting flyers out. It was more like a message that I put out there, and you could say like, a message to the universe or whatever. But at that point, I felt like I need send me some guidance here. I need someone or something to show me the way. And I ended up working with a coach, and that coach arrived, and we spent 2 years together. At some point, Diego, I know that you've had a coach as well, right? And Jacinda, you mentioned you work with a coach.
Yeah.
So where I'm going with this is, when we set off down this path, peeling back the layers of the onion and reassessing things and trying to live in a different way that's more aligned with our values. For me, in that moment, when I started to peel back the layers, there was a lot of light that was happening. There was a lot of expansion. Like there were some awesome things I was seeing. There was also some darkness there. And that could be quite unsettling at times. So I really want to just zero in on this and say to both of you, if there are people out there that are experiencing a little bit, maybe listening to what we're talking about, going, yeah, I'm resonating with a bit of that. Yeah, there's stuff in my life that's difficult, and I'm feeling this, maybe this hollowness or this itch, like something needs to change. I'm not quite happy, but I don't know what that looks like. Where would you start? What would you say to that person that's out there? I mean, and this isn't advocating everyone should go out and get a coach. We are all coaches, by the way.
Let's look at my sign.
But I'm just saying that, and Diego, you mentioned the village, going out and Jacinda, you mentioned community, going out and finding your people, connecting, finding home. I mean, what is something that you would say to people as a small first step, maybe not a big ginormous, let's 360 our lives overnight here. Yeah. What's a good place to start to orientate?
Diego, do you want to?
Sorry. I was thinking, for me, there's a few things, and I'm trying to go to the root. First of all, keep being curious. Curiosity. Keep asking yourself questions, and then share to the people that you trust, the people that you love, and share. No one, in the past, I thought that some people got it and I didn't have it, and I didn't got it, like that I was missing something. And we all have all the information and all the tools to live this life beautifully. It's all within us. So keep looking within and share. Be curious. When dark comes, we need to know that it's going to pass, and it's not going to be forever. So stay there. Hug your pillow, hug whoever you can hug, and keep breathing. It's gonna end. It's gonna end, and there's gonna be a light that you could actually turn on and keep going. But rely on the humans that you have around you, and if you don't have anybody around you, you will find one, because we are all there.
Get a cat
or an animal. Yeah, that's a good one. But yeah, don't give up. I always say that the life became extremely beautiful because when I took the meaning about life, it felt easy. I don't need to get anywhere. I don't need to show anybody anything. I don't need to pretend anything. And suddenly I got freedom. And then when you live a life where you work on your freedom every day, it becomes quite easy. It becomes a space where the difficult thing is to work every day, but that once you create something, life becomes a beautiful thing. At the end of the day, we all know that how this ends, all right, for everyone.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful, Diego. Sorry to interrupt, but I just conscious of time, and I really want to give Jacinda an opportunity to answer that question. But what I really loved from what you said was reaching out to somebody, and for me that was having a coach. But go tell somebody how you're feeling, someone that you trust, and maybe that's your partner, maybe that's a friend, maybe that's your cat. I don't know, anybody, because I'm a really firm believer that when you speak your truth out loud or on paper, or just get it out there into the ether, and it's intentional and it's aligned with what you really want from your heart, not necessarily from your head. I believe that there's some forces that get on side with that.
Yeah,
and life will just start to work in ways that can support you. And in my case, And I really believe that my coach, Mikhail, was sent to me. I asked for him, but he arrived, and we worked together for 2 years, and my life changed exponentially from that point. Jacinda, what was coming up from what Diego said? Do you want to add anything on that?
Yeah, I'd love to add a couple of things. So I think, what you've both said is so beautiful, and I was just having a little chuckle because the number of times that I tell my cat how much I love him every single day is crazy and amazing and beautiful. And I think there is such power in being able to see other beings and be so deeply connected to them. I feel really alive when I'm in my garden. So one of the things that I would always do in those moments of confusion, those moments of, oh my God, who the fuck am I? Where am I going? What am I doing? I'm really struggling with this. One of the things that has always been so supportive in that is nature, is being outside, is being just knowing and seeing and feeling the limitlessness of the earth and of the part of it that we play in this. And that's one of the things that I love to do, is just lie in the sea and be held by it, be held between heaven and earth, be in that luminal space of nothingness, but everythingness in the same sense. So nature to me always, and then there's a phrase that I use that when I was working, I did a lot of work with Jack Cornfield and Tara Brack, two clinical psychologists in the US. I did my meditation teacher training with them, and one of the things that we talked about a lot is this understanding that, what our experience is our experience, and it is shaped by our attention and what we place our focus on. And in the times when it's challenging for us, there's one little phrase that I share a lot, and it is, this too is welcome. This too is welcome. Even in the depths of despair, even in the frustration, we know that emotion is like the sea. It's stormy one day, it's calm the next. It's never permanent. There is this release that happens after a period of time. And so when we can meet the things that are happening in our world and welcome it and meet it and talk to it and understand it, and maybe it's not even talk to it and understand it at this stage, maybe it's just an acknowledgement. But sitting with, this too is welcome. This too is welcome. And in that moment, you create a little bit of space to then take the next step.
And sometimes that's all that's required, isn't it? It's just a breath, a pause, a little mantra like that. This too is welcome. I love that, because I think it invites. Often I think we're always quick to want to push things away or avoid or run or numb and all these other coping mechanisms that we've adapted over the years. This too is welcome is a signal, is a compassionate signal that it's okay. It's okay to feel this way. What I'm doing is hard. It's not supposed to be easy, but it can be really rewarding, really beautiful at the same time. So I love that concept of this this too is welcome. We are just about at the end of time.
Sit with you guys all day.
I could also. I totally resonate. I just wanted to give you, Jacinda, an opportunity, because I'm thinking in my mind, there might be someone who is listening who's really digging your vibe and going, "Wow, this Jacinda lady, she's got some goodies, and I want to know more." How? Tell us a bit more. Tell us about your Wednesdays. Maybe any other services you offer. How do people get in contact with you?
Amazing. Thank you. Firstly, thank you for the opportunity to be here. The conversation, loved every moment. As I say, could be here all day. So good. The best way to get in touch with me is either on Instagram. I'm Jacinda Crothers Global on Instagram. I have a website, jacindacrothers.com. My Wednesday sessions are every Wednesday, 6 a.m. at the beach. If you send me a message on Insta, I'll send you the link, and that has all of the details. Jump on to my email list and I will just share when it is happening, all of the things that you need to know seasonally, and if I'm ever out of the country and what happens then. So yeah, that's an incredible free community event that is for anybody, for families. If you a single parent and you want to bring your kids along, sometimes I have my son there, dogs, whoever. It is completely open. Everyone is welcome. So yeah, come in and join that. It's beautiful. There's no pretense. You just bowl out of bed and odd socks and whatever you've got, just turn up. So that happens every Wednesday. I also coach mostly women, one-to-one. I do that in person and online. So again, if you're interested in hearing more about those services, then you can get in touch with me via Instagram. Is probably the best way to catch me. So yeah, I have an incredible event coming up in the next couple of weeks. I collaborate with local artists and local people that bring out this way of being, this creative, expanded living. So that's happening on the 5th of March in the evening. So that's going to be painting, watercolor painting and meditating. So yeah, that is Studio Joy, which is happening in a few weeks. So
wow, and that's here locally in Bay Plenty?
It is.
Fantastic. Yeah. Keeping it local. I love it.
Amazing. Absolutely. So yeah, just again, so much gratitude for this kōrero this morning. Appreciate you both so much. Yeah. Can't wait to meet in person. Get in the water together.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Diego will be down here in a few weeks, won't you, Diego?
Yeah, on the 20th. And and on that weekend, there's I'm part of their Latin rock band that we're gonna play at the Mount. So on the 21st. So I'm looking forward to go and have like a proper hug with Lloyd, and maybe we can meet Jacinda as well.
That'd be wonderful.
But by the way, I'm very impressed with all the work that you do, and thank you very much for being a leader on life, which is beautiful. It's always so refreshing to talk to and to meet people that are out there sometimes, giving their time and there's no, with a lot of generosity and that's what's make changes and what inspires others. So very, very, very impressed. Thank you.
Beautiful conversation, guys. It's been amazing. And thank you again, Jacinda, for coming on and being our first female guest, and I'm looking forward to having more females on the show. I think it's a great energy, and I look forward to many more, and maybe in the future, you might have a podcast of your own, Jacinda. Who knows?
It's been on my list for a long time.
It's been a great conversation. We've traversed across many different landscapes and touched on many different themes that almost deserve an hour-long podcast in themselves. So thanks for sitting with us, everyone out there. And again, there's been lots of mention of some really awesome resources in the podcast. I think you mentioned a book by Liz Gilbert, so Jack Cornfield to name, and also Diego, you mentioned a documentary as well. It'd be helpful, guys, if I'll reach out to you outside and just grab some details around those so we can pop them in the show notes for anyone who is interested to dive a little deeper on any of those things. But for us, that's a wrap. So thank you very much again, and see you again soon.
Thank you, Lloyd. Thank you, Jacinda.
Thanks, Lloyd. Thanks, Diego.
Thanks for staying with us. This conversation doesn't end here. it keeps moving just like we do.
And if something resonated or stirred a question, you don't need to resolve it, just notice it. Let it sit with you. And until next time, take care of yourself and thanks for listening.